98.1.
All right, mics are going up.
Business Express on Smooth 98.1 in association with Sigma Pensions. Sigma Pensions, working for you.
Good morning, Lagos. Thank you for staying tuned here on Smooth 98.1. Time for Business Express here with Rotus. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And of course, Rotus isn't alone. He has here with him Wale Okunriboye of Sigma Pensions. Good morning, Wale.
Good morning, Ayo. Good
Great to
morning,
have you on the
Rotus.
show.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
Wale. Welcome.
All right, now
welcome.
if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, you can tweet at us at Smooth981FM. Use the hashtag Business Express 981. Or if you'd like to send your message, you can do so to WhatsApp 0809 444
Thank you so much, Ayo. So the up and down we go with the stock market. Yesterday it was down by about 5 basis points. 29,197 points is where the market closed. So far this year we're down by about 7% year to date. Wale, our stock market, I don't know, man. It's just what are your thoughts? How do I mean, yesterday I said there was sell pressure in the number of tier one banks. How are you seeing things with the stock exchange?
Yeah, I think this is one year that you've seen that what's it called, that correlation between Nigerian equities and oil prices not sort of hold. I mean, it's like a decoupling, which I suspect a lot of people think is prime because maybe from the government standpoint, from policy standpoint, policy has essentially tried to favor keeping the currency stable, and so because of that, that has meant that interest rates have been on the high side, and so I think generally for a lot of investors, both offshore and onshore, tendency has been more towards looking at development on the fixed income side as against what's going on in the equity space.
Okay.
I mean, people also say that Nigeria is growing at 2%. That's like a developed market country, but we're an emerging market country, so you're taking DM growth with EM risk. I think that's the problem with that. And once you have a weak growth picture, it just generally weighs on sentiments around equities.
Okay, I guess I mean it's only May. Too early for us to be predicting, but some have said that we're going to be looking at a bearish market this year. Is it too early to be speculating that far?
Well, we're almost we're 5 months into the year, and we're in the fifth month, and the equities market is down 7%. Oil prices have moved up, I mean, significantly over this year, and still down 7%. I mean, I think what we're looking for now is maybe things on the government from the fiscal side. I mean, what are you going to hear? What's the new cabinet of President Buhari going to look like?
Right.
What policies are they going to try to come up with to try and stimulate growth? So I think those are probably the two key things that can push this market up. If we don't get anything positive on that front, I suspect people will still generally just continue. Let me just be comfortable with treasury bills and fixed income.
On the fixed income side. All right. Before I go into this, as I've said on the show several times, any stock picks that you listen here on the show, please contact a broker before making any choices. Is there anything you like? Any sector? Any stocks at all?
Well, I think off the top of my head, I think one sector that stands out just because of, I mean, you're looking at the oil play essentially, would probably be upstream oil and gas companies.
Okay.
Possibly Seplat, because I mean, oil prices have moved up higher than where we were at the end of last year. And generally, most analyst expectations were bearish coming to this year, but what we're seeing, the prices have held up fairly well just because of what the Americans are doing to the Iranians, Iranian oil exports, as well as what's going on in Venezuela. So, and I think Seplat hasn't seen that re-rating in the stock price despite the pick up in oil prices. So I mean, it's an oil company. Essentially, it sells oil. So the higher the price,
the better for them.
The better for them. So I think that's probably one thing people should look at.
All right, good stuff. We move from the stock market now to the central bank. Headline here: Central bank targets 300,000 tons of cotton production by 2020. Apparently, Mr. Mefele has flagged off distribution of cotton seeds across a number of states. I believe Katsina is one of them, with the aim of reviving Nigeria's cotton textiles and garment sector. Wale, what are your thoughts? CBN is they're into the agric thing again.
Yeah, I think one thing you've seen in recent years in Nigeria is the central bank has taken under its development mandate to heights that I don't think we've ever seen in Nigerian history.
Right.
And that's probably because on the official front, they've pretty much adopted a tight monetary policy stance. So they've sort of kept squeezed growth in naira liquidity, kept it very tight on the official sector. So banks can't really do much. And I mean, most banks prefer to devote a portion of their balance sheet towards treasury bill instruments.
Right.
And so, as a way of sort of bridging, because you still have a huge demand for loans and credit out there, the central bank is then having to step up on the other hand, sort of meet that demand. And I think that's what all these intervention programs is generally about. Central bank trying to bridge the gap, because I mean, at the current interest rate levels for a bank, I mean, the risk associated with lending to these sectors, I mean,
It's just
too
too high.
much. I mean, but the problem, of course, is it sustainable? Is the central bank, can the central bank have this very huge mandate of providing credit to large segments of the economy?
Right.
I'm not so sure, because I mean, the central bank has had to carry quite a lot in the last few years,
A lot
battling with the currency.
Mhm.
I mean, they've also had to do issues with banks that have sort of failed. I mean, we had one bank that sort of had issues,
Yeah.
and now they are also carrying the whole providing credit to less attractive segments of the economy. I
Right.
mean, it's not. I mean, at some point, clearly somebody is going to do the numbers and say, look, we can't continue carrying this burden, and we'll have to look for a way to bring the official sector, where you have a lot of creditors, where you have a lot of availability or potential for lending, but it's just the risk appetite is different.
Thanks for that. So we have to be cautious as to the ability to be able to revive this sector. But the textiles, they faced a lot of struggles. It's like, so you're saying essentially that it can't just be the CBN. The private sector also has to hop in there as well.
Yeah. Also the private sector, because private sector would also help boost, because some of the problems the textile industry is going through is not a credit issue. Credit is not the key driver of productivity there. I mean, you have issues with low crop yields. I mean, textile yields in Nigeria are less than one metric ton per hectare. And so you have this issue with productivity, and then you also have issues with the fact that whatever crops you produce, you still have to send it to a factory. The factory still has to grapple with the cost of doing business in Nigeria. So whatever they produce is unlikely going to be competitive from a price point relative to what you're getting from Chinese imports. I mean, all around us, we're surrounded by African countries which are open to imports. So if prices of textile is higher in Nigeria, it's just normal that those things are going to flow in here. I mean, our borders are not going to be able
to withstand them.
We have a comment here from Benga Kamo. Yinka is being very naughty. I'm not sure if I should read out his comment. But Benga says it is hoped people don't collect the cotton seeds and keep in their houses. And more important, is the security situation good enough to plant cotton in many parts of the country?
Good point there. Good point. I think so. Yinka is referring to the president's ministerial list. Yes. Yinka will summarize your message.
So he says, if we can withstand some of the ministers in the past 4 years, then trust me, we are prepared for anything. We will survive last. Maybe it's just another 4 years, according to him.
We should be way more optimistic. But okay, we move from agriculture to aviations. Nairametrics has a story here, Wale, about Medview Airlines being in financial trouble as their competitors like Air Peace and so on are actually seizing market share. What are your thoughts on some of the struggles that they're facing?
Yeah, I think Medview's problem began, I think, 2 years ago when they were sort of yanked off the EU. There was some sort of issue with regards to them not being able to carry out flights into the European Union.
Okay.
And of course, I think last year as well, they also had some issues with their fleet. And so, I mean, aviation business is really about getting more planes up there and having more trips. And once your key segment, I mean, for aviation companies, one way they can sort of avoid some of the revenue pressures to have that international business. At least that helps bring FX, helps you run your operations, and they've had to grapple with issues on that front in the last 2 years, and so it's just normal that this starts to weigh on their. I mean, aviation business is very thin margins.
Right, exactly.
Extremely thin margins. The room for failure is the leg room for mistakes is quite. I mean, it's very thin. So one wrong move
and you're in trouble,
and you're underwater. And I think that's what.
Thanks for that. There was I remember it was in the Guardian, or I can't remember, Business Day last year. They were talking about how the price points at which airlines operate in Nigeria, the price points for tickets are just not competitive. They're making the case that they should raise ticket prices. What do you think about that as far as the operating environment for airlines?
Yeah, that's the problem with airline industry. If you raise your own tickets and everybody else doesn't, then
you're
screwed pretty much. So I think that's always the issue. And on the Nigerian side, I mean, they also have to face higher diesel prices and things like that. So I think it's unless you have a very diversified business model or a very strong business model, you have the international route. you're operating in as many segments as possible that
Mm.
allows you to set pricing. I mean, if you have a foreign route, you can charge a bit more pricing. If you have chartered air services, you can charge higher price point. But if you're just stuck with just the
Domestic routes.
route, you're really gonna struggle.
It's not easy. It's not easy. All right, we move from aviations over to okay, this is interesting. SMEs. Well, I want to get your thoughts on this. So the federal government apparently has signed an MOU with Procter and Gamble to set up an academy that is supposed to service about 37 million small and medium enterprises over the next 5 years. This sounds like quite a lot for just one company to handle. What do you think about this? This is, of course, signed with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investments with Procter and Gamble. Well, what do you think, man?
Well, I think it's very ambitious.
37 million SMEs.
I think it's very ambitious.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
again, it's still early days. I mean, they just signed an MOU, so I mean, let's see how things pan out. But it's clearly ambitious, and I think to train MOUs, but I think it's something that is actually quite important, is having people having proper skills of how to manage and run successful small and medium
Businesses.
enterprise, because the operating environment in Nigeria is quite tough.
Yeah.
So if you're an SME, really, you need to have, if you're an entrepreneur, you really need to have those skills to be able to sort of know how to sort of navigate that operating environment. So having these kind of skills transfer programs, I think is very important.
Mm.
I mean, where the federal government is the partner to do it, I'm not too sure.
That's the
given
question,
their-
I mean.
Let me ask you. Let me just ask you. I need a question.
Yeah.
Rotus, tell me. So, with regards to the 37 million being unrealistic, or not ambitious, not unrealistic,
Yeah.
ambitious. How about the mama puts in quotes, the
Right.
women by the roadside who sell food? You know, if those were all counted as part of the SME population in Nigeria, do you think? I mean, in relation to this or not, but
Yeah.
just in terms of our SME population, because I know that Nigeria has one of the fastest growing SME hub in the world, not just in Africa.
Right.
Would you count those as?
Would I count Mama Puts?
Yes, they are small businesses.
Well, isn't
If they
it?
were structured
Yeah,
properly,
yeah.
like they started to receive, training. We don't have to have educated people as business owners
Right,
in terms of
right.
literal education, like formal education. That's what I
Okay.
mean.
Oof.
I think they're included in that number.
Oh,
Because
they
in
are,
Nigeria,
right?
I mean, if you say informal sector, I mean, the informal sector is really where you have a lot of small and medium enterprises.
yeah.
And we have a
Mm.
large informal sector in Nigeria. So the problem, as always, is the training and the skills, as I said, to sort of be able to scale the business higher.
Right.
And I think those are skills that people need to get a sense as to. Maybe you need to change your capital structure, how you can raise money, how you can manage your operations quite better, how you can keep a tight lid on costs and things like that. So, or how you can manage sourcing. I think those are skills that a lot of people have those ideas of just generating turnover. But I mean, there's a way you can structure your business quite well that you can attract capital and serious investors.
All right.
You're more optimistic about it, eh?
I am
you feel
optimistic because I know that as a nation, because we have to find a solution to unemployment, the rate of unemployment,
Right,
and
right.
I think SMEs are one of the key ways we can do that, and trying to build that. Rotus doesn't believe me.
No, I'm just
Yinka.
Yinka is making me laugh again. Yinka,
All right, we have to go, but you guys say,
pessimist.
oh, okay.
Yinka the pessimist. No, but hey, he's I don't blame him. You know.
All right. It says 37 million SMEs out of 180 million Nigerians, because I am assuming SMEs are sole ownerships at least. I don't know if it's my kid,
Just
but
he's
37
kidding.
million sounds. All right,
Yinka, thank you
so
for your
much.
message. Benga Cameron.
Thank you,
Wale
Wale from
Okunriboye.
Sigma.
Yes, so Sigma Pensions. Thanks for
coming
joining
this
us.
morning. And thanks for listening, and thanks for your messages as well. This is still Smooth 98.1. We're going to break right now. Some nice music to lead us nicely into 7:30, where we have freshly pressed 981.
Business Express on Smooth
We don't have the money. We don't have the money to train all these people. And one company.
We have to keep
One
optimism
company,
alive.
37 million. How many? How are you going to do
We
it?
have to. I'm trying to be very optimistic about our great nation. Thank you so much.
I love your optimism.